Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Lighthouse Sessions. I have my best friend here, Donnie Tuttle, with me. Donnie and I have talked at least twice, so we're officially family. Special
Mhm.
shout out to Stephen Pivnik for thinking enough of us to connect us. Donnie, tell the audience a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then we'll talk about that amazing hat you have.
That's awesome. I'm a lover of people. I'm a teacher. I'm a stirrer of purpose, and I love to help people to find what in the world they were made for, and then to go walk after it joyfully. So that's who I don't know who am I? It depends on the moment, man. Depends on the moment.
The moment and the day and whatever it is. So let's talk about your journey. So you're a nonlinear thinker, which is one of the only entry requirement I have for being a guest on the show. You're breaking perfectly good things and you're creating things. Now, I always apologize to the guests because they miss the fascinating stuff that happens before we go live. But I think you and we were talking about the act of creation and how it fuels our souls and brings us joy. What's your
Yeah.
take on creation? What does that mean to you?
I think we're created to create. I believe that we are. So my belief is that we're created in the image of a creator, and so it's like it is inherently who we are. It's what we do, and it's a source of joy for us. So all of us are here. We're gifted. There are a billion different ways to express a gift, and even if you were to align with one of the the easier ways of seeing it, whether it's art or business or music or design or whatever, there are 10 billion ways to express that gift. And so I think your creation is a way to express to the world what's inside of you, and also to bring value to the world. So I think that's what we're here for.
I love that. And, it's funny because you're the first person to put it that way, that we were created in the image of the creator. Um, One of the things I find, and I like to pick apart words that have drifted and try to pull them back.
Oh,
With
you're a word
the,
nerd too?
oh God,
Yeah,
yes.
I'm a word nerd. Let's go, word nerd. Hit me with it.
I I love the meaning of words. I love the purity of words. And one of the things I'm going to pull apart is the phrase content creator, because at some point that actually meant something, and now it's become cheapened because
Mm.
a lot of people, and I literally, my head explodes when somebody says, "Hey, can I share my prompt pack with you?" No, I don't want it. But it's like we've lost that nuance, that creating is to take an idea and bring it into the world and shape it and polish it. And one of my other podcast guests used the phrase rigor. We have to
Mm.
apply, the creation requires a certain amount of rigor. We've put in
Hmm.
the work to actually create something. Whereas now it seems like social media is, well, I don't know, whoever influencer of the day said X, I'm going to copy it. And now it's Y, and it's like, no, it's not Y, it's X plus one. So let's talk about what creation means to you, because I feel like you're closer to that than most people I would talk to.
I think create means to another word. By the way, if you look up the word author, I think it actually contains both. So you and I work with authors. It
Yep.
comes from there's an English, a French, and a Latin, root. It's AUGO. Like there's something in there, but a part of it, it means to originate.
Ah.
So I'm gonna rail for a second, and then I'll come back to creation. There's a book I read years ago. It says that, and I can't remember the author. I wish I knew the originator that I could give credit to. But he says that we're all born originals, but most of us sadly die trying to become a copy. And
Wow.
when you say the word content creator, that's literally what that is. So when like it used to be con together, tent, which is so together we're stretching out something is what content really, if you look at the root of that. But it's like, okay, if we're stretching stuff out together, why does it all look the same?
Hmm.
And really the reality is that we have become slaves to an algorithm. So a content creator is really today not that's not true. They're an algorithm slave. So we're doing what works to get exposure instead of actually what is original and unique into the world. I forget the man. There was the guy that instructs all the musicians. Crazy hair, Rick Rubin, right? Are you
I,
familiar with Rick?
I'm not.
Um, so
I,
so he's worked with everyone from like Def Leppard, like heavy metal to Shania Twain to like it's like all the brands of music. They go to him to find to refine almost the place of their origin. And he brings them. He's like, there's no device, like no electronics, nothing works where they get to. He puts them in like this room with all white walls. Like there's not like it's like he's like gets them back to their roots. But one of the things that he said would fly in the face of all of these content creators because all content creators deal with what they call what is it when you like the complex when you're afraid of what people like you're not what everyone thinks you are. That whole
yeah.
thing. I forget what they call it. There's like some syndrome of that. But he says he never deals with whatever this word that I can't find right now. He never deals with that because everything he does because it's something he wants to create, not because he thinks it's something that others expect him to create. And so I would say that in its truest form, I think we should instead endeavor to be authors or creators or originators, even if you. I guess the problem with it is that it brings you to a lonely place.
Yeah.
And creatives, in order to be creative, have to know that lonely place. Content creators have been, I think they avoid that and they look where all where the applause is, and
Yeah.
so
They're
I
always
think
chasing the spotlight.
it's creating a homogenized creation
Yeah.
instead of originalized. When's the last time you've seen an original style?
Yeah. Well,
The
it's
50s, the
funny.
70s, the 80s. Like now it's been the same for the last 30 years. That's weird.
Yeah, we seem to be chasing the average, and a friend of mine actually used to say this. I don't know where he got it. He'd say average is just the cream of the crap, and I was like,
Oh,
"Ooh, yeah, you enjoy that one." But one of the things I've noticed, and AI in particular, it's really about averaging. So if you have a bell curve where on one side you got really bad and on the other side you got really original, the really bad people, it raises them towards average. Whereas for the really exceptional people, if they're not conscious of it, it brings them to the mean or the average. And I'm fascinated by that. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Dunning Kruger effect, but it is one of
tell
my
me.
oh, it's my favorite toy now. Okay, so I love mental models. I love frameworks. The Dunning Kruger effect is a double edged sword. So, on the one side, you've got somebody who knows nothing about something. They're functionally illiterate in that space.
Okay.
They learn five things and they go, look at me, I'm smart. And so they have this false sense of confidence because they mastered five things and they can look at the five things and go, I mastered those. Well, the
Mhm.
problem is they don't know which order to use them. They don't know which follows which. But so they're very loud. And by the way, this is where I see a lot of content creators. They learn how to prompt, and all of a sudden they're telling everybody they're the best. My mom says I'm the best prompter in the world. You can believe her. Now, on the other side of that sword, you've got the actual expert. And the expert has mastered 999,999 things, and yet they see the 10 things they haven't touched yet, and so they understate and they're underconfident in their output,
Mhm.
therefore they're
Mhm.
quieter. So that's the interesting thing with social media and the content creators is the louder they get, the less confidence I have in them actually having
Mhm.
ideas.
Mhm.
And one of my other podcast guests said it really well. She said, the problem with using AI to appear smarter than you are is at some point you're going to be a guest on a podcast, or God forbid, you're going to get a spot up on a stage. and you're going to open your mouth and everybody's going to go, what? And I was like, I never thought of that. Whereas a lot of experts won't get on stage because they're like, but what if they ask me about, this random outlier that I'm obsessed with? It's like, nobody's asking you the outliers.
I I feel like it's interesting. We were talking about before we started about like a master craftsman, and you can use whatever word you want to use. I understand that has the word man, and that might offend some people. I had someone recently get accused that they're a little bit mad that father showed up in the original words for author. But as human beings, it's imperative that we find people who are masters of what they do. And I think it's almost like the jeweler. I used to have one of those the little things with the lenses that drop down, not because I know how to use it, but I just think it's cool that somebody does, that
Yeah.
somebody is a master at that thing. But when like there's something about Jeff when we see people who are amazing at what they do, and it doesn't happen in a day or a week or a month. Now we can learn things in a day or a week or a month. Now I will say AI is, I think it makes us powerful learners if we're smart,
Yeah.
right? But I like it, the Dunning Kruger effect. I actually feel like for me, the more I know, the more I need to know. And it absolutely does. It magnifies what I don't know. But that doesn't mean that I can't craft something from where I'm at exactly at the moment. And I think the deeper you go into things, the more you realize, like, oh, this is why that's good, and this is why that is bad. Some things I don't know why certain wines are good or bad. People can tell me over and over why they're good and bad, but I will never just like it doesn't stick. But a part of that is because I don't feel like that's my calling. That's not my domain.
Yeah.
And so finding the domain where you are curious, finding the domain where you are creative and you want to create, and finding the domain where you are connected, like you want to connect with other
Yeah.
individuals in that space, a place where you can nerd out. You find that space and good things happen. Doesn't mean that everything is consumable or valuable in terms of it's sellable, but yeah, there's a interesting flow from creation. Find other creatives.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, it's funny because I have some acquaintances who are obsessed with sports. They can tell you every statistic about every team in a league. And I'm like, I got no room in my head for that. Whatever you just said, all I heard was want, want, want. But when I love looking at, and one of my favorite things with AI is I can study old books. And so one of my favorite things is to go to Project Gutenberg, grab a book, drop it into Gemini Notebook, and I interrogate the heck out of that thing. Oh my God, do I learn? And, this says more about me than most people want to know. But one day I had Sun Tzu, Socrates, and I can't remember who the third one was, but I had them battling. Um, I think it was from the I Ching. So I had a Persian philosopher, ancient Greek, ancient Roman, ancient Chinese, and it was just amazing to see how each of them phrase things. And one of the big ahas is that we've gotten so, and going back to the Gutenberg press and all that, we've gotten lazy with our ideas because it's the friction to share them has been removed. Nobody's being selected. Now people are just self selecting, saying, I'm going to be a TikTok star. But when you look at the ancient texts, we were very smart back then. And I'm going to say that it was not different from now, except that people were present with their ideas. And there was, whatever you want to call it, but they would get together, even in times when, reading was banned or it was reserved for the elite. People with unique ideas found each other. And I think what's cool is with the internet today, you can really, really, really bring those. I meet people and coach yesterday said, Jeff, we need to talk on your vocabulary. You keep using the word weird to describe you. Maybe you should have a better word. And I'm like, no, no, no. I'm claiming weird because that's what I got called as a kid. And now it's my word.
I'll take it. Yeah.
And for
I
what
was
it's worth, Donnie, you like words. I find it fascinating that weird and wired are the same letters. And I'm
ah.
weirdly wired. So there you go.
I like it. There's something about that about together. You look at where what like Renaissances. I don't know if there's if that's a if that when a Renaissance would occur,
Yeah.
it was individuals near each other. I've heard of the term mastermind that when together, like the collective
Yeah.
conscious of individuals, like creates like something that wasn't present before they got there. Revolutions have started that way.
Yeah.
Writers' renaissances, art renaissance. All of these things happen when people are together. I will say, I believe there's something that happens when we get together, Jeff, and it's people like you and me. Some of the stuff that's come out of this conversation, it's completely new.
Yeah.
I've had a version of this before, or you had a version of that before, but we just caused a variant,
Yep.
and that only comes through what you would call friction. I call flow,
Yep.
and that's one of the reasons why. So I believe we can create experiences that open up flow, and one of those experiences is a conversation and a way to help people. I think the person who goes through an experience to not just be a passive watcher of the experience, but to be a participant of, and to recognize their unique thought as
Yeah.
a part of their brilliance, and not just say, oh wow, Sun Tzu was like, he was so amazing, but well, he says this, but I might add this onto it. So it's like it's allowing yourself to even play with and manipulate the
Yeah.
thoughts of the masters who were before you. And how would you craft that a little bit differently?
Yeah.
Even as you picked up the word weird that was used 10,000 times against you, and you're like, I'm going to turn it this way. And
Yeah.
you like it,
It's
right?
shiny. I like it.
Yeah. I think that comes through interaction with others. And the more that I've seen, like people are having sex less than ever, people are having less kids less than ever. There are many indicators that as like society at large, we can, like, at least in North America, we'll say that there's less connection now than there has been. And I think that when we do that, we're risking genius, we're risking creation, we're risking all of these other things. And I think to outsource it blindly to the LLMs and the data centers and all of the things that are out there, um, I'm not sure if that's the best move,
Yeah.
but we'll see, I guess, right?
It's funny, and we'll talk about Coach Book in just a second. But I think one of the shifts I'm seeing, and it is fascinating because the people I hang out with, we're all on the bleeding edge of AI, and yet so far, most of the conversations I have is how do we keep the human in the conversation?
Hmm.
Because again, if we just turn it over to AI, I mean, it's the Walmartification of knowledge. We've taken it from being special to
Hmm.
it's mass produced, mass consumed. I'm sorry, but food that comes out of mass production is not the same as years ago I visited Chicago, and they had some sort of, it was called the 100 mile framework or something, and basically there was restaurants that would only serve food that was grown within 100 miles of their
Yeah,
restaurant.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think always humans, and not every human, some humans like mass produced, they want to be mindlessly sedated by the streaming services, but there's always going to be that elite group of thinkers, and I don't say that to be arrogant, but there are people who don't want to hear what everybody else is consuming. They want to look at things and tear it apart.
Well, I think and if I can touch like the Walmart part of it, like, and some of these people that are like, they'll just I really, Jeff, I've lived in that world, by the way, and I have here's a perfect example of what might show you like, what I believe is happening. I think we're just looking at people who are so deeply in pain or so disconnected from some of their
Yeah.
creative power, from some of their they're not connected, they're not being creative, and they're not they've forgotten how to be curious. These are things we have to practice in order to have them.
Yeah.
Uniqueness, like you and I think we both appreciate uniqueness. Well, practice uniqueness is what gives you uniqueness. So when you're on stage, you can still be unique instead of like it's not just a show.
Yeah.
But I think that I think that when we remove ourselves, there's a level of life that it's just painful that we need. It's anesthesia, I guess,
Yeah.
from the pain or of the disconnect. A few years ago, my coaching business had taken a downturn, and brother, I was mad. My income wasn't where it needed to be, and I was not just mad because my income wasn't. I was mad because I was driving Uber. My wife had gotten a bill, like there was something we had to get our new car repaired or whatever, and we just paid for it, and that put us at like, I don't know, like $43 in the bank or something. It was stupid. And she was driving home from the next town up, and she had a flat tire, and I drove another car up, one of our other car up to go fix the tire, and I just remember feeling all the negativity of the weight of this. I'm not this. Why am I not prospering? This is like I'm not designed for this thing, and everything's going bad, and all of these things. But it was a scribble in the mind. I changed the tire. We get off to the next exit, and brother, we went into an Aldi's, and I was hungry.
Yeah.
I bought every freaking ding dong and ho ho and all of this stuff that basically like fat America is. I'm
Yeah.
like, I was just in a horrible, painful, feeling sorry for myself state, and that's I just gorged on this stuff to
Yeah.
bring myself out of that, and it's like, oh, like that was a taste of I think what other people live in for years. So I have I have some sympathy in that
Well,
direction. At the same time, I don't think that excuses us from practicing
yeah.
connection with what we're talking about here.
Well, I think a lot of people, and for what it's worth, a lot of people here know what is the statistic 20,000 times before they're 8 years old or something. Um, One of the phrases when I was a child I heard a lot was curiosity killed the cat because I asked a lot of questions. And so one of my questions was, what did the cat ever do to curiosity? I could never understand. And it turns out, if you think about it, it was well meaning advice to keep me safe, but it also kept me small because I was taught early
Yeah.
asking questions is bad. And I'm like, in what world? I mean, literally, tell me one thing that we enjoy today, talking on video, having earphones. What would exist if somebody wasn't curious and said, they either asked the question why, or they looked at it and went, why not? And to me,
Hmm.
those are my two favorite questions because it unlocks a lot of things. And yet, a lot of people don't feel safe being curious. And so I think a lot
Mm,
of the sedation is
mm.
trying to numb the pain of being disconnected from curiosity and creation.
Wow.
And
I,
it's,
I think I think that my part of society like probably is like if you look at Puritan roots of at least where America and Canada came from, they're like, and I think there's a couple of things. Number one, Puritans would if anything came easily, they suspected it was from the devil, right?
yeah,
It was like we can't trust it if it's easy. But also, I think and I'm a believer. I follow Jesus, all of that. But also, I think that there is a line of thinking and that has come from the religious part of our founding or whatever is that there are answers that can't be questioned, and so I'd rather have questions that can't be answered than
yeah,
answers that can't be questioned. But that so I see where it's like we're afraid of sometimes the what's on the other side of the fence, and so it's just like I, yeah, I don't excuse it. I see it. don't like it. And I do think that, you know, what that does is that just invites the rebellious,
Yeah.
to find it. And so, sometimes we get, like I always say, like, if you want to find the pioneers, look for the guys with the arrow sticking out of their back. Sometimes
Yeah.
we get shocked, or we get the negative, and sometimes there's a great reward. But
Yeah.
boy, like, this is the season and the day of the innovator and the curious. If you're not curious and innovative today, or if you are, today is your day. If you're
Yeah.
not, I don't know if there's any hope for you. You're going to get washed away by AI and all the rest of it.
Well, and they're going to get swept away with the sea of sameness. So I think that's an interesting time. Now let's pivot slightly. I've been dying to ask you about Coach Book. So tell me what Coach Book is and how you came to be doing this, because I think this is a fascinating journey.
So Coachbook is we utilize generative voice AI. So with a coach's or a speaker's audiobook. So we take an audiobook, and so imagine if you were listening to Audible, and in between chapters, you actually got a coaching session, or you could discuss the topic with the author of the book. Well, that's what Coachbook AI is. So we create an AI twin of the author, so their methodologies, their frameworks, their beliefs, their book, their voice, and all of it. And we create a curated experience, audio experience, that involves something that can go 10 million different directions, that is specifically geared towards a listener. So it is the most unselfish act of experience that you can provide for someone that would digest your book. I'm a school teacher by trade. All of my life I've been teaching and training, and I've found, Jeff, that the number one teacher of anything is experience. So I consider myself an experience maker. This is an experience that we're helping others to make, but only those that actually have a true authority. So if you are speaking about something you really know about, that you are like, this is like your zone of genius, and you're going to share with, we want to empower those people to give people an experience that would help them into that. As a coach, so I've been a productivity coach for the last 11 years. I have found it was not the words I said, it wasn't the wisdom I shared, or the books I read that helped people to ever grow. The number one factor, guess what it was, Jeff, that ever got anyone to have explosive results and all these things that we like to claim that people have. What was it? What
Well,
was the number one thing?
I want to say accountability, but I feel like it's something different. So I'm going to ask, what is the number one thing?
I love that you did that. The number one thing is accountability. I'm a little bit allergic to accountability. So I'm the one productivity coach that I hate accountability. I don't want it. I don't want to give it. I don't want to babysit you.
Yeah.
But there have been studies that have shown that we don't like to lie. And that if we make a commitment to something,
so
and if we make it
consistency
2 or 3 times. So at the end of every call, for anyone out there who's a coach, here's the magic, right? At the end of every call, first off, what do you want? What have you been learning? Maybe we just need to keep doing that. But if it's something different, we give you a choice well, if option A, B, or C seems like something you could apply. Which of these fits best for you? Well, option C, great. You're sure that's what you want to do? Option C, I'll do option C.
Yeah.
Great. When will you do it? I'll do it on Monday. Okay. Well, why will you do? So getting people to commit to taking action. Now, action is the big thing, but I'm not going to kick your butt out there and make you take action. But if I can get you to commit to taking action, about 75% of the time you will. And the thing is we can actually put that framework in a book and an audio experience. So I feel like that all of this is an invitation to an experience. So Coach Book is a way to get people to step into that. So you can have impact. Also, there's a whole way that we help authors to gain intelligence of what people interacted with, and get high quality leads from that. But at its heart, it is just creating an experience for people to digest and regurgitate and ruminate and have some friction with, you know, in your words, information from a master, so that they have transformation over information.
I love it, and I think that's the piece that so many content creators are missing is the transformation. It's just a transfer of knowledge, which to me is not that rare anymore. Now, interestingly, if we play with our definitions, I see accountability as consistency and commitment. So for me, it's not about me because I do not want to be somebody's mom. I don't want to hold their hand and drag them across the finish line. But if you help them understand why they want to do it and you give them the reminder of what their commitment was, I think that's where actual, I think it's called intrinsic motivation, where most people look for extrinsic. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I don't want to have to whip somebody and say get your button gear. But I think you and I use different words for similar concepts. And
For sure.
one of the things I'm obsessed with. I'm a huge, huge student of Dr. Michael Pantalon, and he wrote a book called Instant Influence. Um,
Mm.
it is so him and Robert Cialdini are they're gods in my world. But what I like is Cialdini. So his job, he was an ER doctor. I can't remember where. And basically, he had 7 minutes per patient. And he was getting people in who were, he's one of us. They were in because of alcohol poisoning, drug overdose, whatever it was. But it was basically people with addictions. And he's got 7 minutes to convince them not only, let's treat what's bugging you today, but let's send you off to get some help. And
Mm.
it was almost like if you looked at the medical system, the failure rate was almost perfectly 100% because, and he called them the frequent flyers, pun intended. They'd come back over and over and over with the same issues. So he developed instant influence as a way to get people to uncover their own reasons for taking action. And the part was, he said,
Yeah.
I can lecture them all day long and tell them why they should do this and why they should do that. But what he found was when they said, I need to get better because of X, and then they stated why X was important to them, literally the next day they'd come back and say, I'm going to rehab and you can't stop me. He's like,
Yeah.
okay. So to
Yes.
me,
Yes.
that's accountability, is giving them, lighting that fire and showing them their reason for doing it.
I always, so this, I keep this nearby. Do you know what this is?
No.
This is my responsibility. This is my only responsibility. And if I can do this, then there's a chance. There's never a guarantee. Not even, by the way, with my own children. We have 8 children. Not
Yeah.
even with my own children is there a guarantee that that like I can make you successful, because the choice is still yours. But here's my promise. Ready? It's this right here.
Yeah. Cool.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's whatever. I don't even know what you call these. It's
That,
a spark for those. Yeah, it's a fire starter, right? It's
okay.
but if I can spark you, there's an opportunity for us to get you. I always say it this way. I'm going to point you towards an action. You're going to take an action, and who knows, you might just fall in love.
Yeah.
The one thing is I know if I can get you to fall in love, you're an unstoppable force.
Yeah.
We were, again, just the mindset of an educator. We were in a library in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and I saw a poster that changed. Well, it's worked its way just into the way that I have affected change for people, or tried to. I'm not always great at it, but it said that if we want kids to read more, then we must learn to make it taste more like chocolate and less like medicine. And I think so for me, I do. So accountability is, I think if you're in a group that you don't want to let down, or someone that you want to please in a healthy and a good way, I think that's
Yeah.
good. The intrinsic motivation, though, is like, how can I find your chocolate? Or how
Yeah.
can we alter this so this tastes like chocolate? And if we can create a path, and this is like the way that I've made my living for the last 10 years, I call it taking purpose and turning it into a process.
Yeah.
if we can take what's on the inside and make it observable on the outside in a way that's enjoyable and delightful to the doer, then I never have to watch you a day in my life. You've found the path that, and all of us have this unique little genetic mix inside of us.
Yeah.
We create this way, we connect that way, we're curious that way. All of us have that unique mix. And I think, by the way, I think AI should be setting that free.
Yeah.
But for a lot of us who are afraid or we're getting walloped by the market or whatever, what happens is fight or flight removes all of the options of the creator, and it puts us into the place of like, we're going to run or we're going to fight or we're freezing or whatever those small limited options are.
Yeah.
There's an interesting interplay within that right now, but I still think that if we know who we are, what we're here to do, and if we're open to creating, and there are 10,000 creations that can come out of us. I was launching, and I'm still launching a new product. I have a memorization product I'll be launching just because I want to. Well, doesn't that take away from what you're doing? I mean, I guess, but also, like, if I don't do that, it's like not having oxygen. I guess
Yeah.
like breathing takes effort too. So we now have the ability to be more proliferate than ever before and actually empower this code, this thing that's inside of us. And I hope that the masses are going to go towards monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to see more super original, unique, and authentic creations than we've ever seen. I think people will be rewarded for that. And I think that we're going to find the master craftsmen that are out there, to where it's like, this was like the missing piece for some of us to get our ideas out into the world.
I love that. And one thing I've noticed, and I want to share with you because I think you'll get this, is I've recognized that fear and hate consume the container that carries it and all around. But one of the
Whoa.
things I've found is that love
Did you
is
quote that from someone?
No.
Say that again. Say it again.
Okay, fear and hate consume all around it, including the container that carries it. Now, on the flip side, I believe that the secret ingredient to creation, yes, it's curiosity, but at the root of it, it's love. Because if you use
Mhm.
love, you create. And it's fascinating to me because abundance is rooted in love, whereas scarcity comes from fear and hatred. So these are the things I ponder at night. And it's like, a lot of people are afraid of their own genius. And I can't remember who the wonderful lady is that said, we're not afraid of our weakness. We're afraid that we're
Yeah.
powerful. I always attribute it to Maya Angelou. And then I look it up and I go, oh, wrong one.
I'm saying
She's just,
Brene Brown, but it's not her either.
no,
Yeah, I know.
it's like,
Yeah.
it's like a
The Course in
Stevenson
Miracles,
or,
the lady,
yeah,
something, yeah, forget her name. Yes.
Wilkinson or something son, I think. Anyways,
Son.
the
Yeah. There's
the
something.
aha is a lot of people, we hide from our own light. And, one of the things I'm finding is when people truly connect with their creativity, there's a natural reconnection to whatever you call it, God, the universe, whatever. But when I'm powered, I build things now for my kids. There's a great deal of love that goes into it. And then all of a sudden people are like, oh, you should teach others this. And I'm like, no, 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 you're not my kids. Leave me alone. And then it's like, wait a minute, there's room for all of us. So let's talk about you, Donnie. How can people connect with you, find out more about Coach Book, and quite frankly, just have a conversation with you?
Yeah, LinkedIn's a good place. I'm all over LinkedIn. I have a podcast called The Leadership Lab that is there. Who knows? We may change the name a time or two or three, like whatever. Where I have conversations with one of my newer friends called them wild wackadoos. So instead of saying weirdos, that's what. But you can find me there. If you type in Donnie Tuttle, it's Donnie with an IE. You'll find me everywhere. If the Coach Book thing seems like fun to you, cool. Just message me on LinkedIn and we'll have a chat. I'm never above anyone. My calendar gets pretty full, but I will always circle back to people who have real messages. Don't bomb me with like, hey, I noticed this, you should do that, book an appointment. Like, don't, like, obviously, like, don't be like, I think you're going to either be a like AI is going to either you're gonna be a clone, or you're gonna be original. Don't become someone that becomes like everyone else just because you can. So be original, and I will find you. I promise that.
I love it. And I always have to say, Oscar Wilde said it best, be yourself, everyone else is taken. And honestly, I think that's what I'm hoping for with the podcast, is to get people to share their authentic selves, because it's way more interesting. When somebody comes to me and says, here's the press release, oh, I'm bored.
I mean, honestly, it's fun just to have banter. I mean, why else would I do this? Like, let's be honest. Who knows? Like, there's no guarantee. I mean, I'm talking to you because I like you. There's no guarantee that you actually have an audience. And when people are on my podcast, there's no guarantee of anything either. But what I can guarantee is a unique, authentic, wonderful, connected experience. And why can't that be enough? Because behind one person could be like that could be your next treasure, or the next multiplication of whatever it is you're trying to do. So like, I think we should all be in the business of relationships, and I appreciate you, Pivnik, for making it happen, but also you for chasing the curious cat that he might get killed, but he's gonna have a lot of fun in the process.
He's got 9 lives, so we're good. So. Well, Donnie, I want to thank you for hanging out with me and being on the show.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate you, man.